What's up, guys? Today I'm wanting to do a little something that a lot of YouTubers don't do very much, is go over my profits and expenses for this year. And I'm not going to give exact numbers, but I am going to give pretty close numbers to give you an idea of just how difficult this year has been for me. I know it's been a difficult year for a lot of people, but even though it went pretty bad financially, I still think this year was better than last year. I got more customers, made more money, but just various things kind of made it bad from a business standpoint. But I believe this is my third year going. I'm not full-time. I obviously work a full-time job still yet, but I'm not really a small lawn care company, not real small or whatever. I've got up to about 25 or so accounts this year, but some of my accounts are just trimming jobs, like the owners mow and then I trim, and some of them are on call. They just call me whenever they want it. Some of them are once a month. So as far as weekly properties, weekly and bi-weekly, I only had like 2 weeklies. The rest was bi-weekly, and that was about 17 or 18. So the vast majority of my lawns are consistent, weekly or bi-weekly cuts. But and some people may think that taking on trim jobs is crazy or whatever, but me and my helper can roll up on pretty much all of them, all the trim jobs that I have. 15 minutes we're in and out, and I get $30 per trim job, $30 to $35 per trim job that I have. So that's pretty good money for just a trim job, I think. If I roll in and just do the job and then get out, sometimes I end up talking with the customer and whatnot, and that takes up a little time. But I'm not including the drive time to get there and whatnot. But and speaking of drive time, route density has absolutely killed me this year. I don't have very good route density. I run the same circle every week. Typically, if best I could, I was keeping 1 day a week mowing, and weather permitting and whatnot, I was able to kind of stick with that and just working 1 day a week. Sometimes it was more than that, but I run a 20-mile circle because that's just the way the 2 towns that I mow in are connected. I do have a couple that are kind of far out of my circle, you could say, but they're not too awful bad, and I do charge more when I go outside of that circle. And I make about what I need to have to get them, but I'm barely on some of them. I'm barely getting by due to the driving time to get there and back. But it could be a lot worse. I charged good enough on them at the time. This year I counted it up. If if I hadn't done certain things the way that I did, I was still going to go in the hole based on what happened. Like certain purchases that I made, if I hadn't done that, that was the biggest thing. But it's still, I think everything else would have worked out the same even if I hadn't have bought the things that I did. But anyway, let's get into it. So, like I say, I'm not going to give exact numbers. I'm going to give you a rough idea. But I made this year 12 grand. And so I made 12 grand over the whole year. And first category we look at was labor. Now, I did I guess you could say tip my helper quite a bit because he worked his hind end off for me this year, that's for sure. And then mainly due to my health, whatever's going on earlier in the year, and then later on my back and different things. Toward the first part of the year, I broke my right leg back in 2013, and I sprained that ankle twice earlier this year. Well, I broke pretty much the ankle, and I sprained it twice this year, which I've always had trouble climbing hills because of my feet. But cause I sprained my ankles multiple times a piece when I was younger. But that almost sealed the deal on me getting on steep hills. And I've got steep hills. I mean steep hills. About the only person that I know of that would understand that would be Exterminator, because he's from around here too, and he does some of the same type of yards that I do. But so I sprained my ankle twice. That really kind of forced me into using my helper a bit more because of the properties that I have. But another thing, I don't know what causes it just yet. I've tried kind of looking into it, and I can't really figure it out. Especially when it's hot, and the spring and summer and whatnot. I can feel fine, and then as soon as I get started doing something, I just lose absolutely all energy. Like I can't hardly move, can't do nothing. Seems like I get out of breath a little easy. I can rest for a few minutes and feel better, and as soon as I get up, like 2 minutes later, I'm back the way I was. And I'm not afraid of hard work. I mean, I've always been a big guy, and I've always had a little bit of trouble with like keeping up with my dad and different things when we work around the farm and whatnot like that. But I don't know, this year it seemed like it was particularly bad, that it was causing me trouble to really do what I need to do. I started out pretty good when the cooler months, before it got completely full-blown summer and hot and whatnot. I was doing quite a bit by myself then, but I had to implement my helper later on. But so in labor, and then also toward September, I was still trying to do some work, and I had to pay my helper even more because of my back, which late last year, I think I had a disc slightly herniate then, and that kind of put me down. And then this year it got way worse, and it put me down worse than last year. So I'm getting around pretty good now, and I'm getting more confident in doing certain things. As of now, I think next year I can do pretty well, trimming and everything. But I still got to be careful walking on hills, turning certain ways, different things like that, because of my back and my feet, but mainly my back. But so in labor, I spent $2,600 just in labor. I know that's a lot to some people, but I really had, if I was going to do at all what I did, especially with the amount of work that I was doing, which I know some people may not think it's a lot. Like I say, I work a full-time job, and during the summer months, we was working close to our normal schedule. We've worked like 5 or 6 different schedules at my full-time job. So that was really kind of cutting into my time to be able to mow because of that schedule. So I was really working 6 to 7 days straight at times because of mowing and full-time work. My fan just kicked on my laptop. If y'all hear that, that's what that is. So, made $12,000. $2,600 of that was labor. Next item on my list I've got here is online purchases. Now, everything on this category is basically the same as other categories I'm going to mention later on. Everything that I bought online this year was for the business. I bought parts for my mowers, oil, filters, every bit of it. Every single bit of it was for the business, because I had breakdowns like crazy this year. But anyway, online purchases was $3,000. That's how much money I put into repairs. Well, that's just for me to do repairs. That's me doing the oil changes and changing parts and different things. Every bit of that was me. But $3,000 in online purchases. I did buy a new trailer this year. I pretty much had to in order to keep my production up as much as I have. I run 2 mowers, and my helper obviously runs one and I run the other, and then if I'm able to, I try to help trim. We try to split the work. And luckily I have a really good guy that knows what he's doing. Sometimes he does things not quite the way that I want him and whatnot, but he's good enough that I can't really complain, and he works his ass off and does not complain at all. So, and that's part of the reason why my labor expense was so high, is because I've paid him extra a lot of the time this year. Bought him food, which that's another category later on, and just different things like that, helping him out. But I did buy a trailer, the tandem axle 14-foot, cheapest utility trailer I could get. I bought the spare with it, and I had to buy a brake controller for my truck. So in total, that was $2,300 for the trailer. Now this here next one is a big expense that I wish I never done. I impulse bought a 11-foot by 19-foot TMG industrial metal building, like a single car garage, hoping to put it up somewhere on the property so I can keep my mowing trailer in it, to keep my mowing trailer out of the garage. Backing into my garage is very difficult because of the way it's made. Sometime I can try and show you all. You basically have to come in at an angle, pull into the yard, come in at an angle, and the house is just far enough forward that it makes it difficult to get the right angle, and then there's literally like an inch of clearance on both sides. Pretty much every time I come out of there, one of the tail lights is hitting the rubber seal of the garage door every time. My tail lights on my trailer are touching that. I had to bend the license plate because it stuck out further than the lights. I had to bend the license plate on the trailer just to get it in the garage without it messing up the license plate or the license plate bracket. That's how tight that garage is to get into. But I bought that. It was $1,500. That is the actual amount it was. I ain't gonna lie about it. I'm wanting to get rid of it. If anybody is interested in it, look up TMG Industrial Buildings. It's 11 foot by 19 foot. If you're interested in it, and especially if you're local, let me know. I want to get rid of the thing. I want what I have in it. I want $1,500 for it, and that's, if I can get that out of it, I'll let it go for that price. And if you're not too far away, I'll deliver it for you. I want it gone. I want my money back. But anyway, the biggest reason for that is I wasn't going to have the time. I hoped I would, but I wasn't going to have the time to put it up during the summer. And then in September, my back went out on me, and once I got healed up enough to continue working, from that, I still was working a full-time job, so I just ain't going to have time to fool with it. I want it gone. Another expense was a DR brush hog, walk-behind brush hog. I bought that, wanting it so bad, and then I ain't even used it, like, for a job. I've played around with it at the house, but I ain't actually used it at all since I bought it. But I do think it was a good purchase because I can use it at some point. If I get some jobs for it, I can use it, and it's going to be something to use until I get a tractor or whatever later on. I could do small brush hog jobs and whatnot. I had an opportunity to use it, but because of my back, I wasn't able to, and I don't trust my helper using it just yet. It's stupid the way that thing is made. There's no brake on it whatsoever. There's no brakes at all. It's got a wheel clutch that engages the drive wheels, and if you let it go, it freewheels. So if you're on the side of a hill and you let it go, it's gone. The motor may quit, but the machine is gone. It ain't gonna stop until it hits something. That's the stupidest design I've ever seen. I don't know if there's something been took off of it or something in the past. I can't tell. I've tried looking up diagrams. I can't see nothing. I don't know if there's any way to put brakes on it or whatever, but I'm going to have to do something. I'm going to have to figure out something like maybe what type of hinge brake that hits on the tire, like certain standards make, and I think what Skag, don't Skag have that? I don't know, but I'm gonna have to do something, because if I use that thing, I mean, if I have to let it go, and I almost did. Well, I take it back. I did use it once, very little. I was on a property that was overgrown. I used it very little there, and there was a very steep little bank that I was coming down, and I don't trust going down steep properties. I've tried to go down steep hills, and I almost always slip. So I was scared of letting that thing go, because if I let it go, it would went straight out in the road, like over a 20-foot bank into the road. But anyway, it works, but it's dangerous. But anyway, that's enough on that. Gas. Now this total is close to what I've spent over the entire year for fuel. That's mower fuel, fuel in my truck to get back and forth to work, to go mowing, 2-cycle gas, everything. This is the complete total for the entire year. I'm not going to be claiming every bit of this on my taxes, but this is what I've spent in fuel this year. $1,600 in gas. A lot of that did go to my mowers, because they're all gas powered, obviously, and I do a lot of trimming, like I said, so I have a big weed eater gas expense too. But $1,600 in fuel. Now for food, I'm including this category has the bottled water that I bought, the Gatorades, for us to drink when we're out working, the times that I bought food for my helper and food for me, which I did not keep all my receipts, so I'm missing a lot of this because I didn't know that apparently you can, I believe, file that on your taxes and claim some of that. But for food, I've got $160 worth of food. Like I say, that's not including everything. Insurance, I have general liability insurance. That's $450 for the year. Tools, I bought a few different tools for the business, for the garage and whatnot. I bought the hedge trimmer attachment for my combi system and just various little things. I've spent $1,200 in tools. In advertising, I've spent $150 in advertising. And I do all that through my local newspaper for now. I'm going to look into trying to do some Facebook advertising in this coming year, but I'll just have to learn how to do that. Truck maintenance. I had to have a water pump put on my truck. I had to have brake work done not very long ago. It was within the last month. I've had to have 2 oil changes done and maybe some other miscellaneous things for the truck. But this is paying a shop. This is everything in grand total truck maintenance. I've put $900 into the truck just in maintenance. As you all know, I'm currently trying to build a dumpster trailer to expand my business with. I want to try and market it as a dumpster, use it to haul brush, just whatever. So I'm going to include it as part of the business. I've got so far $1,300 in it, and I'm not done building it yet. But I've got everything that I need to do it. I just got to do it. So I'm going to include that in it, and that's $1,300 in that trailer. Parts and supplies. This is like antifreeze, spark plugs, just whatever that I've bought local, that I've went physically to a store and bought. In parts and supplies for the business, I have $680 in that. And in truck insurance, I paid $220. I think, now some of y'all may not know this, I still live at home. I'm 25 years old, I still live at home. I know some people may look down on that or whatever, but I paid at least $200 on the truck insurance for my truck, because I think ours is all combined and we all pay a part or something there, I don't know. But anyway, paid $220 on truck insurance. I bought a brand new backpack blower this year, so that was $450, and it was definitely needed. I planned on buying one of them anyway this year. And then the biggest expense of everything, equipment maintenance. I've had all three mowers. I've got the 2 John Deeres and the Cub Cadet. I've had all three mowers in the shop this year for something. I've put a lot of parts into them this year. Just all this. And this is just receipts. This is not including online purchases. It's not including parts and supplies. This is receipts from the dealers, the shops, stuff like that. This is the total for equipment maintenance. $3,400. I put about $1,700 in my big mower to have the heads replaced, or had a head replaced and work done on it. And another $600 in my little John Deere for some basic work, really. The engine wasn't running exactly right, and I was going to put it in the shop for that anyway, which I can work on engines. I can take carburetors apart and different things, but I've never been very good at cleaning carburetors or rebuilding them or whatever, so I wanted to put it in the shop for that. And a lot of the other stuff that was done to it was stuff that I could have done myself, like deck lift assembly arms replaced and different things like that. And the Cub Cadet, I had to put it in the shop. Well, I didn't have to, but I put it in the shop to get the coil replaced, and then put spindles on it and the little mower and just different odds and ends. A big expense this year, and a lot of my breakdowns was caused by tires, because I put ballast in all three mowers' tires this year, about half in the back and full in the front, because I've got such steep properties that I need a little ballast in the front to help keep the front end down, which usually I don't have that problem, but I have a number of properties now that are so steep I have to have the ballast. And I put tubes and methanol in all the tires. I didn't want the methanol against the metal, which it supposedly don't rust metal anyway, but I wanted it in the tubes anyway, and that's kind of what caused my problems. One of them, I had it break down like 2 or 3 times. The tube went bad 1 or 2 times, and I eventually had to just replace the tire because there was something in there that was puncturing the tube, and that was causing time delays and just different, causing delays and different things like that. So big expensive went into ballast for the mowers and tires and whatnot, but that's all my categories. And like I said at the beginning, it's crazy how this adds up so quick. One other thing that I forgot is medical. I believe that I can claim some stuff of medical, and I've had a good number of medical expenses this year because of my back and a wound and thyroid. I've had my thyroid checked out. I've got underactive thyroid disease. I've had that my whole life. Just various things, prescriptions. I've been on 1 or 2 different medicines or whatnot this year. So in medical, that's about almost $1,100 in medical. But I do believe that covers everything. So like I said, I made at the end of the year about 12 grand from my mowing business. And as I sit now, I am almost 10 grand in the hole. I've spent every bit of the money that I made plus 10 grand toward my business. Labor probably couldn't have been changed much. Online purchases could have been, if I hadn't had so many breakdowns and different things, that could have been way less. The trailer, I did need that because I was going to have to upgrade eventually to something big enough to haul 2 mowers. The garage, a complete waste of money, like I said. The DR mower probably could have been, I could have been without it, but I'm glad that I do have it in case I need it. I have it. Gas, if I had better route density, and like I said, the gas don't go completely toward the business because some of that was driving back and forth to work, and I ain't going to include that. But I am going to include the biggest part of that number because a lot of it went toward the business. Food, that's just part of it. I'm going to include that. That's what it is. Insurance, that's good. Tools, I didn't need to buy quite as many tools and stuff, so that number could have been changed if I had done better or whatever. Advertising, that $450 has made me a lot more money than that, so advertising was a good investment. Truck maintenance, that's just a thing of happenstance. If it hadn't happened, that could have been $900 saved. It did happen, so it's $900 lost. That's part of it. The trailer build, that's, like I say, that's a venture that I'm going to try to expand the business with. So it is what it is. Did I have to do it? Absolutely not. So that's $1,200 I could have saved, but that's potentially thousands, possibly, that I could make with it once it's built. So what do y'all think about that? I mean, is that damn if you do, damn if you don't, or if that's good and not good, what? So I won't include that. Parts and supplies, that wasn't too bad. I think going a full year doing 25 yards part-time and only spending out about $670 in parts and supplies for the business ain't bad, honestly. I don't think. Equipment maintenance absolutely raped me this year. It and online purchases both. I think I counted it up. If I included like parts and supplies, online purchases, equipment maintenance, all that, that was going to be like what, $5,000 or $6,000 or something like that. I can't remember exactly what I counted up. Medical could have been a lot less if things hadn't happened. It did happen as a whatever. Shit happens. That's basically the motto that I go by. Shit happens. So there's that. The backpack blower was a good investment for the business, so I won't include that. But yeah, I think that I counted up. If things had went slightly different, if like pretty much what I just talked about, I wasn't going to have very much profit. And they say, ain't it like the first 5 years of a small business, you pretty much operate in the red before you start staying in the black or something like that, if that's the colors are right, whatever. But I certainly did not want it to be this bad this year. I wanted to spend some money to get some tax return or whatever, because last year I did turn profit. I think last year I turned profit, and that was mowers were paid off, trailer was paid off, everything's paid off. I was going into the black. And this year I was wanting to, spend some money to get a decent tax return or whatever, invest into the business. I ended up investing some into the business, and a lot of it ended up being just expense, and that is what hurt me. But anyway, long story short, I spent almost double what I made this year. Oh, Lordy. And yes, I'm balding. 25 years old and I'm almost bald. How y'all like that? I'm going to blind you. I got this Bowman beard going on here. But anyway, that's where I stand on this year. I know 2020 has absolutely sucked for a lot of people. This year, I can't be mad at this year. I mean, just business and personal, life, whatever, not that bad. I mean, well, it's bad, but it could have been a hell of a lot worse. The things that I hated the most was obviously my health, back, whatnot, problems there, and having to invest so much into my equipment. But keep in mind, both of my mowers have over 1,000 hours on them. They broke 1,000 hours early this year. So which I bought them used. Well, I bought the one used. The other was gift to me. So it's making nothing but money. Well, yeah, it's making nothing but money now. I've put $600 into it for shop work. I've put about $800 or $900 in it now, but I could get that out of it right now. I could sell it for that much. That's what it would bring. So I'm not losing nothing on that little mower. The Cub Cadet, I've got less or right at $500 in it. It was gift to me. I could sell it for probably $1,000 because it's only got like 250 hours on it. It's a 54-inch garden tractor. It's a good mower. So I'm not losing nothing on it. My big mower, though, I paid $32.50 for it a few years ago. Made a lot of money with it, but now I've put probably $2,000 or $2,500 into it in maintenance. But that's the first thing, major stuff it's ever had done to it in 1,000 hours. That's what's important. So, if y'all enjoyed this, comment down in the comment section below. Let me have it. Just tell me I'm a complete dumbass if you think it. Whatever. I don't care. I'm still learning the business. Just tell me what y'all think. Just, if you got any advice you want to give, whatever, just comment down below. I appreciate all comments. I try to respond to all comments. I appreciate you all watching. I'm going to try. I may do it today. I'm going to try to make some videos in the near future about goals and possible business expansion and whatnot in the coming year. Which, if you all watch that, you'll probably think that I'm a complete idiot. Considering I'm $10,000 in the hole now and what I'm wanting to do. But anyway, comment down below. I'm almost to 300 subscribers. I'm less than 20 away. I'm at 282 subscribers last time I looked. So if you all enjoy my content and want to see more, please subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next video. It's may be a while, may not be, but anyway, I'll see y'all later.